The Witness of the 12 Ancestors, Yahudah, Chapter 1. The copy of the words of Yahudah, what things he spoke to his sons before he died. They gathered themselves together, therefore, and came to him, and he said to them, Hearken, my children, to Yahudah your father. I was the fourth son born to my father Yaʿaqob, and Leah, my mother, named me Yahudah, saying, I give thanks to Yahuah, because he has given me a fourth son also. I was swift in my youth, and obedient to my father in everything. And I honored my mother and my mother's sister. And it came to pass, when I became a man, that my father baraked me, saying, You shall be a sovereign, prospering in all things. And Yahuah showed me favor in all my works, both in the field and in the house. I know that I raced a hen and caught it, and prepared the meat for my father, and he did eat. And the roes I used to master in the chase, and overtake all that was in the plains. A wild mare I overtook, and caught it and tamed it. I slew a lion and plucked a kid out of its mouth. I took a bear by its paw and hurled it down the cliff, and it was crushed. I outran the wild boar, and seizing it as I ran, I tore it in sunder. A leopard in Kidron leaped upon my dog, and I caught it by the tail and hurled it on the rocks, and it was broken in two. I found a wild ox feeding in the fields, and seizing it by the horns, and whirling it round and stunning it, I cast it from me and slew it. And when the two sovereigns of the Canaanites came sheathed in armor against our flocks, and much people with them, single-handed I rushed upon the sovereign of Hazor, and smote him on the greaves and dragged him down, and so I slew him. And the other, the sovereign of Tappuach, as he sat upon his horse, I slew, and so I scattered all his people. Achor the sovereign, a man of giant stature, I found, hurling javelins before and behind as he sat on horseback, and I took up a stone of 60 pounds weight, and hurled it, and smote his horse and killed it. And I fought with this other for 2 hours, and I broke his shield in two. And I chopped off his feet and killed him. And as I was stripping off his breastplate, behold, 9 men, his companions, began to fight with me. And I wound my garment on my hand, and I slung stones at them, and killed 4 of them, and the rest fled. And Yaʿaqob my father slew Beelisath, sovereign of all the sovereigns, a giant in strength, 12 cubits high. And fear fell upon them, and they ceased warring against us. Therefore my father was free from anxiety in the wars when I was with my brethren. For he saw in a vision concerning me that a messenger of might followed me everywhere, that I should not be overcome. And in the south there came upon us a greater war than that in Shechem. And I joined in battle array with my brethren, and pursued 1,000 men, and slew of them 200 men, and 4 sovereigns. And I went up upon the wall, and I slew 4 mighty men. And so we captured Hazor, and took all the spoil. And the next day we departed to Ereton, a city strong and walled and inaccessible, threatening us with death. But I and Gath approached on the east side of the city, and Reuven and Lewi on the west. And they that were upon the wall, thinking that we were alone, were drawn down against us. And so my brothers secretly climbed up the wall on both sides by stakes, and entered the city, while the men knew it not. And we took it with the edge of the sword. And as for those who had taken refuge in the tower, we set fire to the tower, and took both it and them. And as we were departing, the men of Tappuach seized our spoil, and seeing this, we fought with them. And we slew them all, and recovered our spoil. And when I was at the waters of Kozeva, the men of Yoval came against us to battle, and we fought with them and routed them, and their allies from Shiloh we slew, and we did not leave them power to come in against us. And the men of Machir came upon us the 5th day, to seize our spoil, and we attacked them and overcame them in fierce battle, for there was a host of mighty men amongst them, and we slew them before they had gone up the ascent. And when we came to their city, their women rolled upon us stones from the brow of the hill on which the city stood. And I and Shaman had ourselves behind the town, and seized upon the heights, and destroyed this city also. And the next day it was told us that the sovereign of the city of Gaash with a mighty host was coming against us. I, therefore, and Dan feigned ourselves to be Amorites, and as allies went into their city. And in the depth of night our brethren came, and we opened to them the gates, and we destroyed all the men and their substance, and we took for a prey all that was theirs, and their 3 walls we cast down. And we drew near to Thamnah, where was all the substance of the hostile sovereigns. Then, being insulted by them, I was therefore wroth, and rushed against them to the summit, and they kept slinging against me stones and darts. And had not Dan my brother aided me, they would have slain me. We came upon them, therefore, with wrath, and they all fled. And passing by another way, they fought my father, and he made peace with them. And we did to them no hurt, and they became tributary to us, and we restored to them their spoil. And I built Thamnah, and my father built Paybaal. I was 20 years old when this war befell, and the Canaanites feared me and my brethren. And I had much cattle, and I had for chief herdsman Kira the Adullamite. And when I went to him, I saw Parsaba, sovereign of Adullam, and he spake to us, and he made us a feast. And when I was heated, he gave me his daughter Shua to wife. She bare me Er, and Onan, and Shelah, and 2 of them Yahuah smote, for Shelah lived, and his children are you. Chapter 2. In 18 years my father abode in peace with his brother Esau, and his sons with us. After that we came from Mesopotamia, from Laban. And when 18 years were fulfilled, in the 40th year of my life, Esau, the brother of my father, came upon us with a mighty and strong people. And Yaʿaqob smote Esau with an arrow, and he was taken up wounded on Mount Seir. And as he went, he died at Anan Aram. And we pursued after the sons of Esau. Now they had a city with walls of iron and gates of brass, and we could not enter into it. And we encamped around and besieged it. And when they opened not to us in 20 days, I set up a ladder in the sight of all, and with my shield upon my head I went up, sustaining the assault of stones, upwards of 3 talents weight, and I slew 4 of their mighty men. And Reuven and Gath slew 6 others. Then they asked from us terms of peace, and having taken counsel with our father, we received them as tributaries. And they gave us 500 cores of wheat, 500 baths of oil, 500 measures of wine, until the famine, when we went down into Mizraim. And after these things my son Er took to wife Tamar from Mesopotamia, a daughter of Aram. Now Er was wicked, and he was in need concerning Tamar, because she was not of the land of Canaan. And on the 3rd night a messenger of Yahuah smote him, and he had not known her according to the evil craftiness of his mother, for he did not wish to have children by her. In the days of the wedding feast I gave Onan to her in marriage, and he also in wickedness knew her not, though he spent with her a year. And when I threatened him, he went in unto her, but he spilled the seed on the ground, according to the command of his mother, and he also died through wickedness. And I wished to give Shelah also to her, but his mother did not permit it, for she wrought evil against Tamar, because she was not the daughter of Canaan, as she also herself was. And I knew that the race of the Canaanites was wicked, but the impulse of youth blinded my mind. And when I saw her pouring out wine, owing to the intoxication of wine, I was deceived, and took her although my father had not counseled it. And while I was away, she went and took for Shelah a wife from Canaan. And when I knew what she had done, I cursed her in the anguish of my being. And she also died through her wickedness together with her sons. And after these things, while Tamar was a widow, she heard after 2 years that I was going up to shear my sheep, and adorned herself in bridal array, and sat in the city Anaim by the gate. For it was a law of the Amorites that she who was about to marry should sit in fornication 7 days by the gate. Therefore, being drunk with wine, I did not recognize her, and her beauty deceived me through the fashion of her adorning. And I turned aside to her and said, "Let me go into you." And she said, "What will you give me?" And I gave her my staff and my girdle and the diadem of my sovereignty in pledge. And I went into her, and she conceived. And not knowing what I had done, I wished to slay her. But she privily sent my pledges and put me to shame. And when I called her, I heard also the secret words which I spoke when lying with her in my drunkenness. And I could not slay her, because it was from Yahuah. For I said, lest haply she did it in subtlety, having received the pledge from another woman. But I came not again near her while I lived, because I had done this abominable thing in all Yasharal. Moreover, they who were in the city said there was no harlot in the gate, because she came from another place, and sat for a while in the gate. And I thought that no one knew that I had gone into her. And after this, we came into Mizraim to Yosef because of the famine. And I was 46 years old, and 73 years lived I in Mizraim. Chapter 3. And now I command you, my children, hearken to Yahudah your father, and keep my sayings to perform all the ordinances of Yahuah, and to obey the commands of Elohim, and walk not after your lusts, nor in the imaginations of your thoughts in haughtiness of heart, and honor not in the deeds and strength of your youth, for this also is evil in the eyes of Yahuah. Since I also esteem that in wars no comely woman's face ever enticed me, and reproved Reuven my brother concerning Bilhah, the wife of my father, the spirits of jealousy and of fornication arrayed themselves against me, until I lay with Shua the Canaanite and Tamar, who was espoused to my sons. For I said to my father-in-law, I will take counsel with my father, and so will I take your daughter. And he was unwilling, but he showed me a boundless store of gold in his daughter's behalf, for he was a sovereign. And he adorned her with gold and pearls, and caused her to pour out wine for us at the feast with the beauty of women. And the wine turned aside my eyes, and pleasure blinded my heart. And I became enamored of, and I lay with her, and transgressed the commandment of Yahuah, and the commandment of my fathers, and I took her to wife. And Yahuah rewarded me according to the imagination of my heart, inasmuch as I had no joy in her children. And now, my children, I say to you, be not drunk with wine, for wine turns the mind away from the truth, and inspires the passion of lust, and leadeth the eyes into error. For the spirit of fornication has wine as a minister to give pleasure to the mind, for these two also take away the mind of man. For if a man drinks wine to drunkenness, it disturbs the mind with filthy thoughts leading to fornication, and heats the body to carnal union. And if the occasion of the lust be present, he works the sin, and is not ashamed. Such is the inebriated man, my children. For he who is drunken reverences no man. For lo, it made me also to err, so that I was not ashamed of the multitude in the city, in that before the eyes of all I turned aside unto Tamar, and I wrought a great sin, and I uncovered the covering of my son's shame. After I had drunk wine, I reverenced not the commandment of Elohim, and I took a woman of Canaan to wife. For much discretion is needed the man who drinks wine, my children, and herein is discretion in drinking wine. A man may drink so long as he preserves modesty, but if he go beyond this limit, the spirit of deceit attacks his mind, and it makes the drunkard to talk filthily, and to transgress and not to be ashamed, but even to pride in his shame, and to account himself honorable. He that commits fornication is not aware when he suffers loss, and is not ashamed when put to dishonor. For even though a man be a sovereign and commits fornication, he is stripped of his sovereignship by becoming the slave of fornication, as I myself also suffered. For I gave my staff, that is, the stay of my tribe, and my girdle, that is, my power, and my diadem, that is, the honor of my sovereignty. And indeed, I repented of these things. Wine and flesh I eat not until my old age, nor did I behold any joy. And the messenger of Elohim showed me that forever do women bear rule over sovereign and beggar alike. And from the sovereign they take away his splendor, and from the valiant man his might, and from the beggar even that little which is the stay of his poverty. Observe, therefore, my children, the right limit in wine, for there are in it 4 evil spirits, of lust, of hot desire, of profligacy, of filthy lucre. If you drink wine in gladness, be modest in the reverence of Elohim. For if in your gladness the reverence of Elohim departs, then drunkenness arises, and shamelessness creeps in. But if you would live soberly, do not touch wine at all, lest you sin in words of outrage, and in fightings and slanders, and transgressions of the commandments of Elohim, and you perish before your time. Moreover, wine reveals the mysteries of Elohim and men, even as I also revealed the commandments of Elohim, and the mysteries of Yaʿaqob my father, to the Canaanite woman, Shua, which Elohim bade me not to reveal. And wine is a cause both of war and confusion. And now I command you, my children, not to love money, nor to gaze upon the beauty of women, because for the sake of money and beauty I was led astray to Shua the Canaanite. For I know that because of these 2 things shall my race fall into wickedness. For even wise men among my sons shall they mar, and shall cause the sovereignty of Yahudah to be diminished, which Yahuah gave me because of my obedience to my father. For I never caused grief to Yaʿaqob my father, for all things whatsoever he commanded I did. And Yishkak, the father of my father, barak me to be sovereign of Yasharal. And Yaʿaqob further barak me in like manner. And I know that from me shall the sovereignty be established. And I know what evils you will do in the last days. Beware, therefore, my children, of fornication, and the love of money, and hearken to Yahudah your father. For these things withdraw us from the Torah of Elohim, and blind the inclination of the being, and teach arrogance, and suffer not a man to have compassion upon his neighbor. They rob his being of all goodness, and oppress him with toils and troubles, and drive away sleep from him, and devour his flesh. And he hinders the sacrifices of Elohim, and he remembers not the barakah of Elohim. He hearkens not to a Navi when he speaks, and resents the words of reverence. For he is a slave to 2 contrary passions, and cannot obey Elohim, because they have blinded his being, and he walks in the day as in night. My children, the love of money leads to idolatry, because when led astray through money, men name as Elohim those who are not Elohim, and it causes him who have it to fall into madness. For the sake of money I lost my children, and had not my repentance and my humiliation and the prayers of my father been accepted, I should have died childless. But Elohim of my fathers had mercy on me, because I did it in ignorance. And the prince of deceit blinded me, and I sinned as a man and as flesh, being corrupted through sins, and I learned my own weakness while thinking myself invincible. Know, therefore, my children, that 2 ruachoth wait upon man, the ruach of truth and the spirit of deceit, and in the midst is the ruach of understanding of the mind, to which it belongs to turn whithersoever it will. And the works of truth and the works of deceit are written upon the hearts of men, and each one of them Yahuah knows. And there is no time at which the works of men can be hid, for on the heart itself have they been written down before Yahuah. And the ruach of truth testifies all things, and accuses all, and the sinner is burnt up by his own heart, and cannot raise his face to the judge. Chapter 4. And now, my children, I command you, love Lewi, that you may abide, and exalt not yourselves against him, lest you be utterly destroyed. For to me Yahuah gave the sovereignty, and to him the kahuna, and he set the sovereignty beneath the kahuna. To me he gave the things upon the earth, to him the things in the Shamayim. As the Shamayim is higher than the earth, so is the kahuna of Elohim higher than the earthly sovereignty, unless it falls away through sin from Yahuah and is dominated by the earthly sovereignty. For the messenger of Yahuah said to me, Yahuah chose him rather than you, to draw near to him, and to eat of his table, and to offer him the first fruits of the choice things of the sons of Yasharal. But you shall be sovereign of Yaʿaqob, and you shall be amongst them as the sea. For as on the sea, just and unjust are tossed about, some taken into captivity, while some are enriched. So also shall every race of men be in you. Some shall be impoverished, being taken captive, and others grow rich by plundering the possessions of others. For the sovereigns shall be as sea monsters. They shall swallow men like fishes. The sons and daughters of freemen shall they enslave. Houses, lands, flocks, money shall they plunder. And with the flesh of many shall they wrongfully feed the ravens and the cranes. And they shall advance in evil and covetousness uplifted. And there shall be false Nevi'im like tempests, and they shall persecute all righteous men. And Yahuah shall bring upon them divisions one against another, and there shall be continual wars in Yasharal, and among men of another race shall my sovereignty be brought to an end, until the deliverance of Yasharal shall come, until the appearing of the Elohim of righteousness, that Yaʿaqob and all the Gentiles may rest in peace. And he shall guard the might of my sovereignty forever. For Yahuah swore to me with an oath that he would not destroy the sovereignty from my seed forever. Now I have much grief, my children, because of your lewdness and witchcrafts and idolatries, which you shall practice against the sovereignty, following them that have familiar spirits, diviners, and demons of error. You shall make your daughters singing girls and harlots, and you shall mingle in the abominations of the Gentiles. For which things' sake Yahuah shall bring upon you famine and pestilence, death and the sword, beleaguering by enemies, and revelings of friends, the slaughter of children, the rape of wives, the plundering of possessions, the burning of the Hekal of Elohim, the laying waste of the land, the enslavement of yourselves among the Gentiles. And they shall make some of you eunuchs for their wives, until Yahuah visit you, when with perfect heart you repent, and walk in all his commandments, and he bring you up from captivity among the Gentiles. And after these things shall a star arise to you from Yaakov in peace, and a man shall arise from my seed, like the Son of Righteousness, walking with the sons of men in meekness and righteousness, and no sin shall be found in him. And the Shamayim shall be opened unto him, to pour out the Ruach, even the Barakah of the Kodesh Father, and he shall pour out the Ruach of favor upon you. And you shall be to him sons in truth, and you shall walk in his commandments first and last. Then shall the scepter of my sovereignty shine forth, and from your root shall arise a stem, and from it shall grow a rod of righteousness to the Gentiles, to judge and to save all that call upon Yahuah. And after these things shall Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov arise unto Kai, and I and my brethren shall be chiefs of the tribes of Yasharal. Lewi first, I the second, Yosef third, Benjamin fourth, Shimon fifth, Yissaschar sixth, and so all in order. And Yahuah, Barak, Lewi, and the messenger of the presence, me, the powers of favor, Shimon, the Shamayim, Reuven, the earth, Yissaschar, the sea, Zebulun, the mountains, Yosef, the Mishkan, Benjamin, the luminaries, Dan, Avon, Naphtali, the sun, Gath, the moon, Asher. And you shall be the people of Yahuah, and have one tongue, and there shall be there no spirit of deceit of Beliar, for he shall be cast into the fire forever. And they who have died in grief shall arise in joy, and they who were poor for Yahuah's sake shall be made rich, and they who are put to death for Yahuwah's sake shall awake to Kai. And the hearts of Yaʿaqob shall run in joyfulness, and the eagles of Yasharal shall fly in gladness, and all the people shall esteem Yahuah forever. Observe, therefore, my children, all the Torah of Yahuah, for there is hope for all them who hold fast to his ways. And he said to them, Behold, I die before your eyes this day, 119 years old. Let no one bury me in costly apparel, nor tear open my bowels, for this shall they who are sovereigns do, and carry me up to Kivron with you. And Yahudah, when he had said these things, fell asleep, and his sons did according to all whatsoever he commanded them, and they buried him in Kivron with his fathers.